So today's lesson will be about fungi and plants. So as you can probably tell, we're moving through the 6 different kingdoms. Yesterday, we talked about bacteria, protists. Today, we're introducing fungi and plants. And tomorrow, we'll talk about the animal kingdom. Your objective today is to identify structural and reproductive adaptations present in fungi and plants. And then the essential question, how are fungi different than plants? So we'll take some quick notes. Okay, hold on, I'm trying to figure something out. Okay. Photosynthesis and respiration quizzes. You can come, we'll do that. We'll do a whole day of all that later. I want to get through this. So the first kingdom that we'll discuss today is the kingdom fungi. You've seen fungi probably outside of West Mech. There was at one point a pretty gnarly colony of fungi outside of the 800 building. But there are odd-looking organisms. They're eukaryotic, they're heterotrophic, and they're also multicellular. So it's really important that we note that they are heterotrophic organisms, which means that they cannot produce their own food. They have to find other sources of nutrients from elsewhere. But in many ways, they're not all that different than more sophisticated organisms. Tomorrow, we'll see that animals are also eukaryotic, heterotrophic, and multicellular. Fungi have the adaptation that they contain what's called chitin in their cell walls, and this chitin makes their cell walls stronger. So fungi are pretty sturdy organisms, and they are in some ways resistant to some amount of mechanical damage. Chitin is a polysaccharide. So based on the fact that it's a polysaccharide, which of our 4 biological compounds must it be? Which of the 4 biological compounds is chitin if it's a polysaccharide? Because chitin is a polysaccharide, that means it must be which of the 4 biological compounds?
Carbohydrates.
Indeed, thank you, Alicia. It is a carbohydrate. Remember, carbohydrates are sugars, and the word polysaccharide means many sugars. Okay, so poly means many, saccharide is a root word for sugar. So chitin is indeed a sugar, which means it is a carbohydrate. Fungi also produce digestive enzymes. What is an enzyme? Which of the 4 biological compounds is an enzyme? We're doing some review here. Which of the 4 biological compounds is an enzyme? Come on, folks, I know we know this. Alicia, can you just remind us what the 4 biological compounds are?
Proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, and nucleic acid.
Good. Proteins,
Or
carbs, nucleic acids, and lipids. So she got them all right. So proteins, carbs, nucleic acids, and lipids. Which one is an enzyme? Or enzymes would be an example of which one?
Is it protein?
Excellent. Thank you, Gabby. Enzymes are proteins. Good. Now, proteins do quite a bit of work for organisms, for the cell. We find proteins everywhere we look. They carry out a number of functions. So it's good that we can remember that enzymes are an example of protein. But as it relates to fungi, these enzymes help to break down substrates. And so that allows them to pick up nutrients from the soil or from dead organisms that are located near them. So this makes them excellent decomposers. Sexually or reproductive adaptations, fungi are able to reproduce both asexually and sexually through the dispersal of spores.
Mr. Rudd,
Yes.
can fungi also be seen as kind of parasitic?
I think probably, well, typically when we think of a parasite, we think of an organism that is living inside of a host or benefiting from some type of host organism, while the host is also suffering as a result of that relationship. So I don't know exactly how we could classify it as a parasite. What did you have in mind, though? Why did you say that?
Well, I saw one video about fungi that affects a bug and like destroys it from the inside while it's still alive, such as
Okay.
spiders, and, like flies and stuff.
Yeah, well, I think that's a great example in that case of a parasite. So perhaps there are some types of fungi that would be considered parasitic. Good. Okay, I think I'm done now. Fix the issue. Good. Let's watch this.
The evolutionist concept has been disseminated by different branches of human knowledge, just as mushroom spores are spread on a cool breeze. Each new season, countless spores are released into the autumn air by the mushroom kingdom. Over the period of a few days, each organism tries to reproduce to the best of its ability. The primitive strategy used by these beings consists of creating many countless possibilities for survival. Each of these reproductive cells will find its own fortune. The wind will blow them in similar directions, but no two will alight on the exact same spot. The unique genetic code written on the chromosomes of each cannot be repeated. They may be quite similar or nearly identical, but some will triumph, and others, the vast majority, will not. Some will be breathed in by an animal, others will fall into the water, and almost none of the rest of them will find an appropriate place to land, and therefore will not survive. But with luck, one of these spores, perhaps just fractionally rounder or more aerodynamic than the others, will be able to fly higher on the air turbulence created by insects, or will be more capable of holding up thanks to this year's lower humidity levels. And when it lands in the perfect place with the ideal adaptations, it will grow and prosper there where its siblings couldn't. At last, when it reaches the moment of reproduction, its own spores will incorporate those variations in its chromosomes that helped it find success, and its improved design will have a tendency to perpetuate itself in this environment. This is the essence of the changing life that Darwin understood and interpreted for humanity.
Okay, interesting stuff there. The other kingdom that we're discussing today is the plant kingdom. Plants are also eukaryotic. Remember, eukaryotes have membrane-bound organelles. Can someone provide, what's an example of a membrane-bound organelle? Just give me one. What's one example of a membrane-bound organelle? I know it's more than just me, Gabby, and Alicia on the call.
I'm thinking.
Thank you, Gabby.
You said examples of membrane,
Of a membrane-bound organelle.
a nucleus?
Nucleus is the best example. What'd you say, Castro?
Ribosome. I can't really pronounce it.
Oh, ribosomes are not membrane bound. Ribosomes are basically just clusters of protein. But most organelles are membrane bound, which means that they have their own membrane. So there's a separation from their internal environment and the cytoplasm of the cell. So we could think of a nucleus is probably the best example because it's the most sophisticated organelle, and it's what really makes a eukaryote a eukaryote. But we can also think of a chloroplast, which we know plant cells have. We could think of mitochondria, which are the powerhouse of the cell. We could think of vacuoles, which plant cells also have quite large vacuoles. So we've got to know these organelles, guys. We've got to be doing this review. That was the asynchronous assignment yesterday, was about Unit 2 review, cell review. So I saw several of you did it, but many of you still need to do that. Please be aware of the fact that this review is important. The EOC exam is important, all right? It's curved, so you don't need to be perfect, but you do need to, you need to perform on it. You need to be aware of these concepts. All right. Plants are also autotrophic, which means that they produce their own energy. What process allows plants to produce their own energy?
Photosynthesis?
Excellent. Photosynthesis. And photosynthesis is the process of using light, that's why we have the root word photo, to produce glucose. And then plant cells are obviously multicellular. Oops, did I skip two? Oh, there are two types of plants, two general types of plants. Vascular plants and non-vascular plants. Non-vascular plants might include mosses and liverworts, which I've never really heard of nor seen, but you can see an example there. We call them non-vascular because they do not have this specialized tissue, nor do they have seeds. These are plants that use spores to reproduce. They also do not have roots, which means that they must be low to the ground in order to absorb water. And they use osmosis and diffusion to absorb and excrete water and nutrients. On the other hand, we also have what are called vascular plants. I'm moving kind of quickly because you all don't really need to write this down. Vascular plants have specialized tissues called xylem and phloem in order to transport materials and to grow. You should write that first bullet point down. The xylem is going to carry water and minerals from the roots up to the leaves of the plant and the flowers of the plant. The leaves and the flowers are not good at absorbing water and minerals. That's just not their job. So the roots are super important of these vascular plants because they have to absorb water and nutrients from the soil. And then the xylem is what allows them to transport these materials up the stem of the plant or up the trunk of the tree. So keep in mind, there are trees that are hundreds of feet tall. So in order for the leaves at the very top of those trees to get water, this xylem, this special tissue, has to be extremely well adapted to transporting water from the soil hundreds of feet up to the leaves and the fruit. All right, so it's a very impressive process, but it really just makes use of a little bit of chemistry and a little bit of physics. The phloem, on the other hand, allows things to flow down. So the phloem is going to carry glucose, which is produced in the leaves during photosynthesis, down to the rest of the plant so that the roots will have energy to do this absorption. And vascular plants can also reproduce sexually and asexually. There are two classes of vascular plants. So as you see, we first divided the plant kingdom into two classes. We had the vascular class and the non-vascular class, and now we're dividing this vascular class further into angiosperms and another class called gymnosperms. But angiosperms are vascular plants that use fruits or flowers to protect their seeds. Fruits and flowers are pretty delicate, okay? But these fruits and flowers are there either to attract a pollinator, like a bee, or they are there to deter predators. So you'll see some flowers that have really bright, vivacious colors, red and yellow, that are warning symbols to potential predators that they might be poisonous. But really they're there to protect the seed. If we compare these vascular plants to mammals, the seed is like the egg, right? So female mammals produce eggs, and those eggs are waiting to be fertilized. The fruit is like the ovary. So the ovary is where the eggs are stored, and the ovary provides the eggs with the nutrients and the oxygen that they need in order to survive. And then also the pollen would be like the sperm. The pollen is there to fertilize the egg. So this is why many fruits are quite tasty and quite sugary, because those sugars are there to provide nutrients to the seeds. All right, let's watch this process of pollination.
While most people know that mistletoe is a great way to get a kiss at Christmas, few realize that it's actually a parasite. There are about 90 species of mistletoe in Australia alone, and they all send out roots that penetrate the bark of trees and siphon off water and nutrients. question is, how did they get up to these aerial gardens in the first place? The mistletoe bird. It specializes in popping open the parasite's ripe berries and swallowing the sticky contents. Thanks to the bird's modified digestive system, it only takes half an hour for the mistletoe seed to pass undamaged from beak to bottom. And that's when the bird starts gardening. Simply by wiping its bottom, the mistletoe bird manages to plant the sticky klingon in the perfect position to form a new aerial garden. The mistletoe's developing root quickly penetrates the branch of its host and starts siphoning off all the nutrients it needs.
That's pretty amazing / gross, wouldn't you agree? Okay, then we also have gymnosperms. So gymnosperms are seeds that are dispersed by the wind. And so in order to do this, they have to be quite durable, and they also have to be shaped in a mobile way. So these might be the seeds that are in a pine cone. So they're durable and they're easily dispersed. Now, which of these plants, which of these vascular plant seeds do you think is best adapted to withstand a fire? Which one of these vascular plant seeds is best adapted to withstand a fire?
Gymnosperm seeds.
Good, yeah, the gymnosperms, because they're just much more durable and not as flammable. So the problem with that, or not problem, but when forests are burned, what's left behind is a bunch of gymnosperm seeds. And so, of course, what grows out of that are gymnosperm plants. So this is why you don't really see fruit plants in places that are prone to fires, because over the years, those fruit plants and their seeds are destroyed, and the only thing that's left are gymnosperm seeds. All right, so some quick transport review. We remember talking about transport, hopefully, this was back in Unit 4. We talked about the fact that the cell membrane has some unique qualities that make it pretty adapted, well adapted to transport things both into the cell and out of the cell. We learned that the cell membrane is made up of a phospholipid bilayer, which means it's made up of 2 layers of lipids. It's both flexible and fluid, so it can flow and move and change shapes as needed. It's a mosaic, so that means that it has a lot of different substances embedded in it, and it's selectively permeable, which means that it only lets certain things in and out. Not everything can just come and go as they please. Some things are going to remain inside of the cell so that they can be used, and some things are going to be pushed out of the cell because they're wasteful or because they're damaging. When it comes to transport in general, there are 2 types of transport. There's passive transport, which does not require energy. And this moves things down their gradient from high to low concentration. Passive means that it does not require energy. This would be diffusion, facilitated diffusion, and osmosis, which is the movement of water. But there's also active transport. I'm going quickly because you all hopefully have this written down already. Active transport uses energy in the form of ATP. We've talked about ATP a lot at this point. It uses energy to pump things against the gradient. So from a low concentration to a high concentration, this would be like running up a hill. That's going to require a lot of energy. But if I'm at the top of the hill, all I need to do is just kind of sit down and just allow myself to roll. It doesn't take any energy. I'm going to go all the way down the bottom. So that would be a passive process that doesn't require energy. The active process requires energy to move from a low concentration to a high concentration. And the way that it's easier to remember this is by thinking of the 3 A's. Active transport requires ATP to move things against the gradient from a low concentration to a high concentration. Active ATP against the gradient. Okay. All right, so we're going to do something different today. That was the end of the lesson. I know I moved quickly, but this standard that we're covering here in the 10th unit is not going to be covered much on the EOC, so there's no real There's no real need to cover it too much. So what we're going to do today, you all obviously have an exit ticket as per usual. You also have an asynchronous assignment per usual. But we're also going to do some one-on-one conferences. So I'm going to call on you all based on the people who are here. And you're going to join me at a separate link in another Google Meet where we can discuss some of your progress in the class and what you need to do to get back to a passing point. All right. In this conference, I would greatly appreciate being able to see your face. Keep that in mind. All right, so here's what I need to do. The first person who I'm going to want to talk to, who's here today, would be Ayana, but she's not here. Mr. Biggers, are you here still?
Yeah, I'm here.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to send a link to the chat. So Jalen, join me there. I'm going to mute myself here so that I can talk in the other one. Olivia, are you still here in the chat? Let's see. Yes, you are. Can you join me at the other chat, Olivia? Thank you. Dante, are you here? Can you join me at the other chat? Dante?
I'm joining.
Okay, thank you. Angel, are you still here? Can you join me in the other chat? Angel, are you here? Can you join me in the other Google Meet? Okay. Adrian, are you here? Can you join me in the other Google Meet? Okay. Angel, join me in the other Google chat. I just sent the link to the chat here. So join me in that other Google Meet and we'll talk. Adrian, are you still here? Can you join me in the other Google Meet?
Sure.
Thank you. Quiescence, Kiki, are you still here? Can you join me on the other Google Meet? Quiescence. Okay, great. There you are. Okay. Okay, so it's 11:35. Omari, you are the last person I want to talk to because Malachi, I have an appointment scheduled with you in 10 minutes. Malachi, that appointment will be at the chat, the link that I just sent to the chat. So, but I don't want you to join yet because I am going to talk to Omari if he's still here. So Omari, if you're here, can you join me in the other call? Everybody else, you're good to go. Those of you who I did not talk to, Alicia, Gabby, who else? I think you all were the only two. We can find another time tomorrow. Thank you. And Castro, I didn't talk to you either. Omari, if you're here, can you join me in the other call? There you are. Excellent. And Malachi, like I said, we're going to talk in that other chat as well, but not until 11:45. Malachi. Hello, Malachi, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, can you join me in that other call?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.